Coach Wade here, and today I want to talk about something that's becoming more popular, especially among younger people who are tired, burned out, and wondering if there has to be more to life than work, sleep, and paying bills. It's called a micro-retirement. Now, when people hear the word retirement, they usually think about somebody who's 65 years old, sitting on a bench somewhere, sipping sweet tea, traveling the country in an RV, or spending their days playing golf. But a micro-retirement is different. The basic idea is that instead of waiting until traditional retirement age, take an extended break from work much earlier in life, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe longer. The goal is to step away from the daily grind, recharge, travel, pursue a dream, explore a new career path, or simply catch your breath. And I understand the appeal. Let's be honest. A lot of people are exhausted. They're stressed. They're overworked. They're staring at computer screens all day wondering if this is really what life is supposed to look like. So when somebody on social media says, I quit my job, traveled the world for a year, and found myself, it sounds pretty attractive. But before you start writing your resignation letter, let's talk about the financial side of this conversation. Because as I always tell people, feelings matter, but math matters too. Now here's the first thing I want you to understand. A micro-retirement is not retirement. Let me say that again. A micro-retirement is not retirement. A traditional retirement means you have enough money invested in working for you that you no longer need a paycheck. A micro-retirement usually means you're taking a break and eventually you'll need another job. That's a big difference because eventually that vacation ends. That backpacking trip ends. The adventure ends and the bills start showing up again. Now, don't misunderstand me. There's nothing wrong with taking time off. Rest is biblical. Rest is healthy. Rest is necessary. The problem comes when people take time off without a plan. Inside the Power Team system, we teach that financial peace begins with preparation. Preparation reduces stress. Preparation gives you freedom. That's exactly what applies here. If you're carrying credit card debt, personal loans, payday loans, or consumer debt of any kind, a micro-retirement should not even be on your radar. You don't need a year off. You need a plan. That's why step 1 is building your starter emergency fund. Step 2 is eliminating debt. Step 3 is building a fully funded emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of expenses only after you've built that financial foundation should you even consider something like a micro-retirement. Why? Because freedom without preparation eventually becomes another form of stress. Imagine taking a year off, spending all your savings, then coming back home needing a job immediately because the money is gone. That's not freedom. That's pressure. Now let's talk about the hidden costs most people never discuss. Opportunity costs. Every year you're not working is a year you're not earning income. It's a year you're not contributing to retirement. It's a year you're not building wealth. Let's use simple math. Suppose you're investing $500 a month towards your retirement. That's $6,000 per year. If you stop investing for 1 year and that money would have gone over the next 30 years, you could potentially be giving up tens of thousands of dollars in future wealth. Not because you spent a lot, because you lost time. And time is the secret ingredient that makes compound growth so powerful. That's why I tell people all the time, money loves time. The earlier you invest, the harder your money works for you. Now, does that mean nobody should ever take a micro-retirement? No. What it means is you should do it responsibly. If you're going to take 6 months or a year off, save specifically for that goal. Create a sinking fund. Budget for it. Plan for health care. Plan for food. Plan for housing. Plan for transportation. Plan for unexpected expenses. And most importantly, don't raid your retirement account to do it. I see people cashing out 401ks and IRAs because they want to find themselves. The problem is they usually find taxes, penalties, and regret. Your retirement account is for retirement, not vacations, not adventures, not temporary lifestyle experiments. Leave that money alone. Another thing people rarely consider is what happens after the break. Eventually, you need to return to work. And while some employers may appreciate the personal growth story, Others may see a large employment gap and start asking questions. You need a reentry plan. How will you explain the gap? What skills did you gain? What value did you create during that time? What does your next step look like? Adults don't just plan the exit, they plan the return. Now, let me say something that might surprise you. Sometimes what people really need isn't a micro-retirement. Sometimes they need a vacation. Sometimes they need a career change. Sometimes they need a healthier boundaries. Sometimes they need to use their PTO instead of letting it expire. Sometimes they need to stop answering work emails at 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes they need to find a better employer. The solution isn't always walking away from work entirely. Sometimes the solution is making adjustments to how you're living right now. Because if burnout is the problem, a year off doesn't automatically fix the habit that created the burnout. Eventually, you'll come back to the same patterns if nothing changes. Now, personally, I believe one of the greatest goals we can have is building enough financial margin that we have choices. Maybe that's taking 6 months sabbatical. Maybe that's starting a business. Maybe that's reducing your work schedule. Maybe that's retiring early. But every one of those options becomes easier when you have financial peace. That's why I love teaching the Power Team system, because when you eliminate debt, build savings, invest consistently, and create wealth, you gain something incredibly valuable: options. And options create freedom. The truth is, the goal isn't simply escaping work. The goal is building a life where work becomes a choice instead of survival requirement. That's real financial freedom. So if you're thinking about micro-retirement, don't let social media make the decision for you. Do the math. Create a plan. Talk with your spouse if you're married. Count the true cost. Consider the long-term impact. And if after all of that it still makes sense for your life, then do it responsibly and intentionally. Because at the end of the day, financial peace isn't about doing what feels good today. It's about making decisions today that give you freedom tomorrow. That's a lesson that will serve you whether you're taking a micro-retirement, changing careers, building a business, or preparing for retirement someday. Remember, children do what feels good. Adults create a plan, and winners follow the plan.